And because we are in this special Christmas holiday season, the Attorneys TV show welcomes to sing for you Oh Holy Night, our 7-year-old soloist, Little PJ from Michigan. Come be inspired.
All night divine.
With our special guest from the law office of Ebony W. Rogers in Fayette, Alabama, Attorney Ebony Winston Rogers. With our special guest from the Duncan Law Firm in Miami, Florida, Attorney Zena X. Duncan. The Attorneys TV show, breaking down current events, no holds barred, with guests from across the nation. With your host in West Bloomfield, Michigan, attorney and minister Urena Ricks Johnson from Ricks and Associates. With your host in Miami, Florida, attorney, minister, and registered nurse Rossi Williams from Rossi Williams Law Group. So save the date, spread the word, and don't miss the Attorneys TV show, live streaming every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Attorneys TV show channels on YouTube and Facebook. The only show with no topic off limits, where all viewpoints are welcomed and where you can live chat with other viewers and the attorneys during the show. Sign up to get a text reminder when the show goes live each week by texting the word The Attorneys TV Show to phone number 33222 now. Subscribe on YouTube and follow on Facebook. Whatever you do, don't miss this fire.
Well, good evening to all of our viewers. Welcome, everyone. Tonight is Thursday, so you know what time it is. It is the Attorneys TV Show Thursdays. Here we are tonight, breaking down another current event. No holds barred, no topic off limits. All viewpoints are welcome as long as you are respectful. And of course, we have some dynamic attorney guests with us tonight. I am your host of the Attorneys TV Show, Attorney Rossi Williams, here in Miami, Florida, from Rossi Williams Law Group. And I have with me my esteemed co-host, way out in West Bloomfield, Michigan, Attorney Urena Ricks Johnson of Ricks and Associates. Attorney Urena, can you greet our viewers and our guests on tonight?
Hello to our viewing audience. We have a great show, and thank you to our guests for being here today.
Excellent. And I know that you can see these dynamic two ladies here. I'm going to introduce them in more detail a little later on, but I do want to welcome from Fayette, Alabama, Attorney Ebony W. Rogers of the Rogers Law Firm. Attorney Ebony, can you just greet our viewers on this evening?
Hello, good evening, everyone.
And then last but definitely not least, here in Miami, Florida, from the Duncan Law Firm, we have Attorney Zena X. Duncan. Attorney Duncan has been in trial all week, so we are so happy to have you make it here with us tonight. Can you greet our viewers on this evening?
Thank you so much for that. I'm Zena Duncan. I'm very pleased to be here.
Excellent. And before we move to our first topic, we do want to offer our condolences out in the state of Michigan for the families of those four students who have passed away, as well as for all of those who were injured in that school shooting. All of the attorneys here before you tonight want you to know that the families, the victims, you're all in our prayers, the community. And Attorney Urena is in the state of Michigan. This is where she lived. So I know it really touched her as well. So we want to say that. Now, listen, we have some things we want to break down here tonight. We're going to start off with our first topic. Then we'll move to that hot topic that you always demand. And finally, we have a special surprise for you tonight. I don't want to give it away as much as I'm not supposed to, but I will tell you, we have a little 7-year-old soloist who's going to close us out tonight. Since we are in the Christmas season, we know that so many people are down. So many people lost loved ones due to COVID. So tonight we wanted to end with a Christmas song. So we're going to have 7-year-old little PJ from Michigan singing Oh Holy Night tonight. So go ahead, follow the Attorneys TV show now on YouTube and Facebook. Share the show and live chat with us. Type your comments as we go along, and we might highlight your comment on the show tonight. Let's get to it, folks. Now, we've all seen the verdict in the trial of the people who killed Ahmaud Arbery that day before Thanksgiving. I mean, it was a great pre-Thanksgiving special for me, if you will. But even though the trial itself is over, the fight is not over, right? Because we're looking at defendants likely to appeal. And we're also looking at the fact that the former prosecutor who assisted them allegedly, Miss Jackie Johnson, has now been indicted, and her trial is coming up next. So I'd like for us to just take a second and watch footage of the verdict. And then, Attorney Urena, I want to start with you with a substantive law question tonight. Let's just watch what happened there.
I'm going to go ahead and address each one of these verdict forms separately. The first verdict form I have is the state of Georgia versus Travis McMichael. Mr. McMichael, please stand. Verdict is as follows. In the Superior Court of Glenn County, state of Georgia, the state of Georgia versus Travis McMichael, case number CR 000433. Jury verdict form. Count 1, malice murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty.
Well, that was his father who had that what we call excited utterance, if you will. So, Attorney Urena, one of the things that happened in this case was that the three defendants claimed self-defense. But in the situation wherein they chased down Ahmaud Arbery and where they shot him allegedly because they thought he was a burglar, they used what we sometimes in the law call or refer to as self-help. And we know that is not something that you should be using. So can you just start off with the foundation of telling our viewers, what does self-help mean? And generally, is that something that we would recommend that the ordinary citizen should apply?
Well, self-help is the initiative that you take upon yourself in order to help yourself pretty much to operating under the law that you feel like you can move forward with apprehending someone or pretty much taking the law into your own hands. And in this situation, the individuals that did this was not right at all. They caused something that eventually ended up being the death of Ahmaud Arbery. So in this situation, it did not work for them, and it should have never happened.
Definitely. And self-help can be applied in any type of situation. It doesn't have to be criminal. If you're the landlord and you go put all of the belongings of your tenant out in the street, right? As opposed to going through the eviction process, that would be self-help. So self-help is just in building on what Attorney Urena said. It's a situation where you take the law into your own hands. You're not sometimes you may even be referred to as a vigilante in those types of situations, but you never should do that. And, you know, we want to emphasize there that there were 9 counts against each of those 3 defendants. The son, Mr. McMichael, he was convicted on all 9 counts. The father, Gregory McMichael, he was not convicted of all 9 counts. And then the neighbor, Mr. William Bryan, he was convicted on 6 of the 9 counts. And I will say to all of you attorneys here, as I watched the verdict being read to the son, I just thought, my God, look at the legacy his father just gave him. He went and got his son out of his home to come help him run down this black man. And now the legacy he leaves his son is a life in prison. It's just never worth it. Attorney Duncan, I now want to turn to you. And I want to talk about the defense's motion, which was a repeated motion within the trial for a mistrial. And I must say to our viewers how apropos for me to be asking this question to Attorney Zena Duncan, because Attorney Duncan just was able to successfully get a mistrial granted for her defendant today. So I'm now speaking with one of our special guests, Attorney Zena X. Duncan of the Duncan Law Firm here in Miami, Florida. Attorney Duncan practices criminal defense. She is a prior public defender. And if you are in need of some criminal defense representation, I want to make sure that you look her up and that you give her a call. Or even if you know someone in the area who needs help, give her a call. And I know some of you are saying, well, Attorney Williams, you do criminal defense. Nope, I ended it this year. So Attorney Duncan, I feel like I paid my dues. I've been doing it, Attorney Duncan and Attorney Ebony, since I've been an attorney. So I ended doing regular criminal defense this year, except for appeals. So even for the people calling me, I will be telling them to call you. So Attorney Duncan here, let's talk about this. Over and over, the defense kept moving for a mistrial. And that's one of the reasons we're talking about this, because they're going to appeal. I would like for you to watch this footage of the defense moving for a mistrial based on the presence of Black ministers in the courtroom, which I'm sure is going to be one of their areas of appeal. And tell us what you think about this. Criminal defense and litigation is what you do all day, every day. Let's watch.
Cross-examining Investigator Lowry yesterday is that the Right Reverend Al Sharpton managed to find his way into the back of the courtroom. I'm guessing he was somehow there at the invitation of the victim's family in this case. And I have nothing personally against Mr. Sharpton. My concern is that it's one thing for the family to be present. It's another thing to ask for the lawyers to be present. But if we're going to start a precedent, starting yesterday, we're going to bring high-profile members of the African-American community into the courtroom to sit with the family during the trial in the presence of the jury, I believe that's intimidating, and it's an attempt to pressure, could be consciously or unconsciously, an attempt to pressure or influence the jury. Obviously, there's only so many pastors they can have. And if their pastor's Al Sharpton right now, that's fine, but then that's it. We don't want any more Black pastors coming in here, or other Jesse Jackson, whoever was in here earlier this week, sitting with the victim's family, trying to influence the jury in this case. But I think the court can.
Wow, talk about starting at the top of the hill and going downhill from there. Attorney Zena Duncan, criminal defense attorney, litigator, prior public defender. What do you think about what you just saw? I mean, is this something upon which he should have been granted a mistrial?
Absolutely not. That was a desperate move. It showed, and I like how he used the word intimidating, because, we spent 400 years behind the 8 ball. And here we are now showing strength in numbers. Well, Black pastors, which historically Black people have done, we have gone to our pastors. We have strengthened up during the civil rights movement. We've marched, we fought for our rights, and that is intimidating. And it remains intimidating. So aside from the condescending, connotation of what he says and not knowing who he's speaking of and who's present, he asked the court to do away with this trial because we Black people are too intimidating. And the fact that these pastors are here is going to make this jury be in some way tainted and swayed for Ahmaud Arbery, not the evidence that was so clear. And this is a criminal defense attorney saying this, because that case was overwhelmingly full of evidence for the right verdict that was rendered in this case. So in no fashion should that have been the grounds for a judge, even this judge, with, a lot of comments about the judge in and of itself, but and that courthouse and that county and everything led up to this trial. But in no way should any judge have granted a mistrial, and he did the right thing in not granting it based upon Black pastors and the show of strength that we have when we come together as a community and show power, because that's what that was.
Thank you. That was a very, in-depth analysis. And I love that the fact that you highlighted that you are a criminal defense attorney. And even you are saying, no, that wasn't the right thing to do. And I want to say to all of our viewers, welcome, welcome, welcome to the Attorneys TV show. We are here live streaming every Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook. So make sure you press that subscribe button on YouTube and that you follow us on Facebook so you won't miss one show. We break down current events, no holds barred, with guests from across the nation. There's no topic off limits here, and every viewpoint is welcome. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with the co-host. You don't have to agree with the guests, because guess what? Sometimes we don't always agree. The only rule is that you must be respectful. So please type your comments in the comment section, and we may highlight your comment on air tonight. Right now, we're dealing with the next steps after the verdicts in the Ahmaud Arbery, the trial of the killers of Ahmaud Arbery. So before I move to our next guest, Attorney Ebony Winston Rogers, Attorney Duncan, you hit on something that I wanted to ask everyone. And that question is, did the jury get it right? 3 defendants, 9 counts, 1 defendant, that being the son, convicted on all counts. The father convicted on 8 counts. The neighbor, Mr. Bryan, convicted on 6 counts. Did they get it right? I'm going to go to my co-host over in West Bloomfield, Michigan, Attorney Urena Rich Johnson. What say ye about that?
Definitely. I believe the jury got it right.
Excellent. And then Attorney Duncan, I'm going to come back to you because I'm going to have a follow-up question for Attorney Rogers. So Attorney Duncan, did the jury get it right here?
They absolutely got it right. And the only shocking part to me was that it took as long as it did for them to come to the right verdict, quite frankly.
I will say, I was saying to myself, I know these people want to go home before Thanksgiving. I know they were saying, look, we need to be out of here by noon.
Right.
I need to go get my turkey ready. And of course, that's just some humor. We know they were really deliberating the evidence. Attorney Ebony W. Rogers, over in Fayette, Alabama, did the jury get it right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I think we're all in agreement on this. I don't know if that will remain the same, viewers, throughout tonight, but I believe they got it right. Now, I want to welcome as a guest Attorney Ebony W. Rogers, over in Fayette, Alabama, the first female African-American attorney in her entire circuit in Alabama. And it's so apropos, as we mentioned, ministers, Attorney Duncan, because Attorney Rogers is the wife of an associate pastor. And I must say, I'm also from Alabama. And we did not prearrange to wear the blue and black. But Alabama, you know, it is what it is. So Attorney Rogers, we welcome you here tonight. And what I'd like to turn to would be the racial overtones that were there in that trial. When Attorney Duncan was answering the question we just discussed, part of what that attorney said is we don't want any more Black pastors in the courtroom. Not just we don't want any more pastors. So there were a lot of racist tropes or racial stereotypes throughout this trial. What I would like to do is to watch some footage wherein the defense attorney, one of the defense attorneys, mentioned that Ahmaud Arbery had long, dirty toenails. And with you being a litigator and the first African-American female attorney in your circuit in Alabama, I'd like for you to address whether or not that helped their case, even though we know they got guilty verdicts. For me, it was like when she said that, I said, if they weren't going to be guilty, they will be by the time you finish with that. But I want to hear what you have to say.
In the Ahmaud Arbery trial in Georgia, there is backlash today over a comment that left a gasp in the courtroom. It happened when a defense lawyer said this about the slain jogger.
In his khaki shorts with no socks to cover his long, dirty toenails.
Arbery's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, stormed out of the courtroom, and today she's denouncing the lawyer's remarks.
It was very, very disturbing. I thought it was very, very rude to talk about his long, dirty toenails and to totally neglect that my son had a huge hole in his chest where he was shot with that shotgun.
It was so cruel and so inappropriate. and really irrelevant to what is happening in this case.
Is she trying to make the case that because he has dirty toenails and long toenails, apparently, so that he's not really a runner?
You were there in the courtroom when this toenails comment was made. What was the reaction from Ahmaud Arbery's mother?
There was a gasp behind me from several members of Ahmaud Arbery's family. The mother of Ahmaud Arbery, she could not believe what she heard. She said, "I've got to get out of here." And she quickly, almost...
Wow. His long, dirty toenails. Attorney Ebony Winston Rogers over in Alabama, how do you respond to that as a litigator? Did it hurt her client to make that type of comment? And if so, why or why not?
I believe it did. I believe on many levels, as far as the racial, just blatant racism that was clearly displayed. And it wasn't, it was her attempt to dehumanize him, to say he's not like us. He's a monster. And I think with that, it just implies that it wasn't, she took out the fact that he was a human being. He was someone's child. He was a son. And when you do that, you take away from what actually happened and the consequences that should follow that, more so saying he's not like us. And people know that traditionally in the courtroom, especially where I'm at, when you're a Black male, when you're of a large stature, if you have big hands, big feet, people are afraid of you. And I feel like she was trying to insinuate that that gave them reason to do what they did because this was described as this image. And I feel like that's what she was portraying by saying that, which is utterly, it's blatant racism. And it's worse. And I believe that she definitely went too far with that one.
I do too. And as I watched the news all over the nation where other attorneys or legal analysts were referring to what she said, I kept hearing the term beyond the pale. She went beyond the pale. Yes, we are zealous advocates of our clients, but there is a professional boundary and she crossed it. And I just couldn't believe it. So when I heard that, I just said to myself, oh my Lord, the imagery that it brought to my mind was that of a runaway slave. That's how I felt she was trying to depict him.
Me too.
Long, dirty toenails. Now, viewers, listen. All viewpoints are welcome here, so you don't have to agree. We welcome you to the Attorneys TV show tonight. I am your host, Attorney Rossi Williams of Rossi Williams Law Group here in Miami, Florida. I have with me my esteemed co-host, Attorney Urena Ricks Johnson of Ricks and Associates, way over in West Bloomfield, Michigan. And we have with us two very esteemed attorney guests tonight, Attorney Zena X. Duncan of the Duncan Law Firm here in Miami, Florida, a criminal defense attorney, prior public defender who just won a mistrial for her client in an aggravated assault case today. And then way over in Fayette, Alabama, the very first African-American female attorney in her circuit and the wife of a minister. So she better stay in check here tonight. Attorney Ebony Winston Rogers from the law office of Ebony Winston Rogers. So I want you to make sure that you follow up with these very esteemed attorneys. We are here every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, breaking down current events, no host barred, with no topic off limits. All viewpoints are welcome. And you can live chat with us. If you type your comments as you're listening, we may highlight your comment on the show or call your name out on the show. But make sure you follow us and make sure you learn more about us on our website, watchtheattorneys.com. Now, a very interesting thing, attorneys, which happened in this trial, or this situation, I should say, that I haven't seen in others, is that the former DA has now been indicted. So the DA, which is Miss Jackie Johnson, the former DA for this particular county in Georgia, she was recently indicted because she allegedly, I want to make sure I say allegedly violated her oath and obstructed law enforcement by assisting these three defendants after they had murdered or killed Ahmaud Arbery. Her trial will be coming up next. This is something very unusual to see a DA indicted, especially following the killing of a Black male. And so I want us to just watch a little footage about this. And then I want to know from each of you whether or not you believe she should be convicted and or disbarred. Let's watch.
Start in Brunswick tonight, where some say the job is not done. It follows the convictions of 3 men for the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. Demonstrators say they will be back to see ex-District Attorney Jackie Johnson in court.
And guess what? We're not finished yet because Jackie Johnson, she's not dead. That's right. Yeah, it's a law.
The former Brunswick District Attorney has been scrutinized for allegedly violating her oath of office. People in Brunswick tell On Your Side's Tristan Hardy today the fight for justice isn't over.
Now that the McMichaels and William Bryan have been convicted of murder, there's one more name people in Brunswick believe should be added to the list.
Because Jackie Johnson, she's not dead.
The former district attorney allegedly violated her oath of office. One of her charges include obstruction and hindering a law enforcement officer. It took more than 2 months for Arbery's killers to be arrested.
Attorney Urena, way over in Michigan, should she be convicted and should she be disbarred?
I think that there is some compelling evidence to convict her of obstruction. I believe that she knew there was evidence there of some misdealings. There was some evidence of what happened, what really happened to Ahmaud Arbery, and she intentionally did not move forward with that investigation, and to the point where she tried to conceal it. And from the standpoint of her oath that she takes as an officer of the court, which we all are, and I think that she really did not take that oath seriously in this matter. And I do think there's grounds for her to be convicted and even disbarred.
Now, Attorney Duncan, we know that prosecutors have prosecutorial discretion. And I love one of the things Attorney Urena brought out, which was in this particular situation, although that former DA Johnson recused herself, what she did is she then recommended to the Attorney General of Georgia another special prosecutor whom she had already given instructions to in regard to not convicting them. Should she be convicted? She has a misdemeanor charge of obstruction and a felony charge of violating her oath. Do you feel she should be convicted?
I mean, the should part is easy. Yes. Will she? No. Will she? More likely than any sort of criminal sanction to her. I think this is a good case of the good old boy network. And this is where we are. It's Georgia. Let's not forget where we are. Although it's a predominantly Black county, I think the way in which it functions is not through the Black circuit. I think that she used, just like the defendants used, their connections in which to circumvent the process, and they got away with it for a little while until it gained some momentum. And at that point, this is where everybody started getting caught and everybody had to, be accountable. So I do think her days of practicing law are over, though, that for sure.
Attorney Duncan, now we're almost at the end of the show, but I have to ask one little follow-up question there, because you said, should she? Yes, but will she? No. But in that same area, that same circuit, we just saw this jury convict these 3 white defendants of killing Ahmaud Arbery. But you're thinking with her, it won't be the same result?
No, because I think we're talking about 2 different things. Ahmaud Arbery's case was ironclad, pretty much. There's not too much any jury could have come up with that would not have been a conviction on any one of those numerous counts that would have been a life in prison sentence, because it's murder. And he was murdered simply for jogging while Black. Everyone can see that. The world watched that. Totally different to the behind the scenes of what went on. An attorney, a white attorney, the district attorney, and all that. It's not going to be the same review.
I agree. It's more he said, she said here. And I like that you pointed that distinction out. Attorney Ebony Rogers over in Fayette, Alabama, should she, I'm now going to go back to what Attorney Duncan said. I'm going to change my question. Will she be convicted of the charges against her?
I'm actually on the other side. I believe she will be convicted. I believe that it will put a Black mark on that county if she is in the state, just because the defendants were found guilty. And I believe it somewhat it goes hand in hand to an extent, because had she did what she was supposed to do originally, then obviously they would have been arrested sooner. So I believe she will, and I have a lot of faith in Georgia. I want to hope and pray that they're a progressive state and we're moving forward.
Oh my God! Oh my
God bless you.
I'm loving it. The time is just moving too quickly. Listen,
Right.
everyone, we're about to go to our hot topic segment. This is something that you always want us to do, where it's just the two host attorneys, Attorney Urena and myself. And we're going to just very quickly deal with the federal trial going on of Miss Ghislaine Maxwell, who is the assistant to the late Jeffrey Epstein, and she has the federal sexual trafficking trial in progress now. But we are going to end with a special song. So instead of giving you the whole hot topic, we're going to deal with one question on it, and then we have a surprise for you to start off the Christmas season. So it's time for the hot topic.
In demand hot topic segment, the attorneys will break down the high-profile federal trial of Miss Ghislaine Maxwell.
Jeffrey Epstein's one-time girlfriend in court today. Emotional and graphic testimony from the first accuser in the sex trafficking trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. She's accused of luring young girls into a web of sexual abuse, trafficking them for sex acts with a convicted sex offender who 2 years ago reportedly hanged himself in jail. Under the pseudonym Jane, the accuser said she was 14 when she met Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell at a summer camp. She said the couple started grooming her, taking her to the movies, on shopping trips, and giving her money. She testified she was still 14 years old when Epstein sexually abused her for the first time. It happened, she said, in his pool house, where he pleasured himself in front of her. She told the court she was frozen in fear, felt terrified, gross, and ashamed. The accuser testified that the abuse at times involved groups of people, and that sometimes Maxwell participated in the sex acts. She says it continued for years, all while she was 14 to 16 years old. Maxwell's defense...
Attorney Urena.
Whew.
Wow. Very, very quickly here. There are many people who are saying that this is really just a political witch hunt. It's just an extension of going after Epstein. And we're going to discuss this later on down the road in more detail. But is this a political witch hunt, or should she have been charged for allegedly assisting Epstein in such horrific crimes?
I don't think that this is political at all. I think that this is a person that intentionally was involved in these acts, intentionally knowing what was going on, and intentionally involve these young people in these acts that are criminal acts. And I think that she should be held accountable.
I don't know at this point. I've been watching it, but of course it's federal court, so you don't have the cameras in there like you do in state court. I think I'm going to wait to see the evidence bear out. But at this point, at least the testimony of a 14-year-old child is so compelling. Now, viewers, this is the Attorneys TV show. We welcome all of you here tonight. Make sure that you are following us on YouTube or Facebook every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are breaking down another current event, no holds barred, and we bring in the top-notch guests from across the nation, such as the esteemed guests we have here tonight who've been discussing our first topic with us, attorneys Zena Duncan of the Duncan Law Firm in Miami, Florida, and attorney Ebony Winston Rogers of the law office of Ebony Winston Rogers in Fayette, Alabama. Now, usually we would go in more detail in this hot topic, but tonight, because it's the Christmas season, and we know that so many people are experiencing so many different things, we have a special treat for you. We're going to hear this, and then we're going to bring our guests back on to give you our final good night. But for you, way over in Michigan, we have Lil PJ. He's gonna sing Oh Holy Night. And I tell you, I'm just so excited. He's only 7 years old. So make sure that you are cheering him on as he sings for you in his little suit. He wanted to wear a suit. Now, this is PJ. And I will give a full disclosure. He's also attorney Urena's son. But he is gonna sing for us Oh Holy Night as we celebrate this Christmas season.
Fall on your knees. hear the angels' voices. Oh, night divine. Oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine. Oh, night divine. Fall on your knees. Oh, hear the angels' voices. Oh, night divine. Oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine. Oh, night divine.
That is one of my favorite songs. So everyone, this is the Attorney's TV show. This is the only place where you're going to get current events broken down, no holds barred, but where people can still disagree respectfully. And every viewpoint, whether agreeable or disagreeable, is welcome. I am your host for tonight, Attorney Rossi Williams of Rossi Williams Law Group here in Miami, Florida. I have my esteemed co-host, Attorney Urena Ricks Johnson, way in West Bloomfield, Michigan. Can you just give a final word to our viewers?
Thank you again for tuning in with us. It was a great show. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope you join us next week.
And of course, and let me just tell you, we got some great things coming up. We have some accountants coming on. We're going to be dealing with your finances, some end of the year information, bankruptcy, all kinds of things. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you follow. And next year, we're going to be dealing with the election and even going live to different states on site. So you do not want to miss the Attorney's TV show. I want to make sure that before we end, we also just give a great acknowledgement to our two very esteemed guests. We did not have enough time to really hear from you the way I wanted to. So I know I will have the two of you back. Attorney Zena X. Duncan of the Duncan Law Firm in Miami, Florida, prominent criminal defense attorney here, prior public defender. Just want to mistrial tonight. And I keep saying that because if you're the defendant, I promise you that defendant was happy about that. So Attorney Duncan, how can our viewers reach you if they need criminal defense representation?
They can call me at the Duncan Law Firm, 305-754-5011, or look me up on my website.
Thank you so much. And I must say, I love the hair. Attorney Ebony Winston Rogers, let me tell you guys, I don't have enough time to give you her full bio. She's not just an attorney, not just the first African-American female attorney in her circuit over in Alabama, but she and her husband own multiple businesses. They are entrepreneurs. She has recently gone to school to become, I hope I say it right, a funeral director or an embalmer. I'll let her tell you the exact term because I don't know it right. You know, I don't mind saying that. So Attorney Winston Rogers, how can people reach you? And what was the degree you just earned?
Yes, I got my associate's degree in applied science for mortuary school to embalm and be a funeral director. You were right.
All right. I thank you. I didn't want to be embarrassed here with all these people. But, you know. And so how can they reach you again?
Yes, they can reach me on my website at erogerslaw.com, and they can call me at 205-442-6224.
All right, everybody, make sure you follow, watch, and share. You're going to get some great information here. We'll see you next Thursday.
Yes, you've just watched another exciting episode of The Attorney's TV show, breaking down current events, no holds barred, with guests from across the nation and no topic off limits. With your host in West Bloomfield, Michigan, attorney and minister Urena Ricks Johnson from Ricks and Associates. With your host in Miami, Florida, attorney, minister, and registered nurse Rossi Williams from Rossi Williams Law Group. And the highly popular segment before the end of the show, the attorney's hot topic for tonight. So make sure you don't miss one dynamic broadcast of The Attorney's TV show, live streaming every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on The Attorney's TV show channels on YouTube and Facebook. And sign up to get a text reminder when the show goes live each week by texting the one word, The Attorney's TV show, to phone number 33222. We'll see you next Thursday when the attorneys break down another current event with guests from across the nation and where all viewpoints are welcome to live chat during the show. The Attorney's TV show Thursdays. Don't miss this fire. Spread the word.